Why, hello everybody, it is me. It looks like it's actually just going to be me for now. I'm not too sure what 100% is going on, but that's alright. You know what? It just gives me an opportunity to be a little bit more personable in this episode of Can't Understand Normal Thinking. Worst case scenario, we'll figure something out different day. It's completely fine. We'll figure it out. Hey, Field to Do, how is it going, my dude? But yeah, actually, this actually gives me ample opportunity to kind of go through some, personal stories of mine and the personal achievement that I've managed to do over the last, I would say, probably took me about 5 years. So let's just go back in time to like a time where I was just doing YouTube, where I lived in a place I hated. So there was a time in my life where I was extremely depressed, extremely isolated. I never left the house. I always just stayed with myself. And YouTube kind of helped with that in a way. I interacted with people online. It was okay, but it's not the same kind of interaction as what you get here on Twitch, which I find much better. And it's definitely kept me more sane during COVID than if it was just YouTube that I was using. But back then, I craved attention. So I had some decent okay money during that time frame too. I managed to make some money playing poker and YouTube and all that. So I had a little bit of money that I could play around with, go on trips, meet some people. So I went on a trip and I met a girl. Who would have guessed? So we developed a relationship over a couple years, and eventually we ended up moving to another small town that was closer to the city that I moved from. It's a small town called Squamish that I used to live in, and there it was okay. It was still small town feel. I wasn't the biggest fan of it coming from a big city to a small town, but it beat the shit out of living in Williams Lake, because here I'm at least here I was at least between 45 minutes between Whistler and Vancouver, so it kind of balanced out all right. It wasn't too bad. I just didn't have a car, so it made it a little bit of a pain in the ass to kind of go back and forth. I'd either have to borrow a vehicle or I'd have to take the bus, and the bus was shit. But anyway, as time went on and I developed that relationship with this girl, I ended up moving to a place called Vancouver. Well, actually, I moved to a place called Langley, which was even further out of the way. And of course, whenever you make decisions that involve, well, thinking with your penis. Oh, you're here, Oz. Welcome, Oz. Welcome, welcome. But yeah, whenever it comes down to a situation where you've been so isolated and so alone for so long, and then somebody finally gives you that attention, you put so much more of yourself into that person, and you do so much extra stuff for that person, right? So I ended up moving to a place called Langley. Now I always claimed that it wasn't always solely because of her, and in fairness, it wasn't. It was just nice to be very close to it was very close to what's where like it was close to my family and friends. It was all within a simple public transit. I didn't have to worry about taking a Greyhound or having a vehicle. I could just see everybody I wanted to see. But a big portion of the reason I did that move was because of this girl. Big mistake. Huge mistake. Big red flags. Ended up getting used quite a bit. And I think that was because I was just so I was just so used to being alone that having somebody that paid attention to me that way really made it so I just kind of simped. I was the all ubermensch of simps, and I just kind of gave her what she wanted, and I was clearly being used for that. So as time went on, um, I basically lost a lot more money because of her. I started racking up credit card debt, right? Then I started getting stressed, which led to me drinking more and smoking more, which also added to my debt. So I slowly started racking up all this credit card debt, right? It was slightly worse than being alone for a time. Yeah. Yeah, it ended up being slightly worse. Yeah. But yeah, so then I ended up racking up all this credit card debt. And I think by the time I was living there in a year and a half, I probably racked up close to $35,000 in credit card debt. As like that's including loans and stuff too. So that was a big fuck up on my part, right? So what do? I don't learn from my mistake. I take out another loan, bringing me up to a grand total of nearly 40 grand. Once I hit that rock bottom, though, I did end up realizing where I kind of made a bunch of mistakes, and going to therapy and working on myself, the damage that was done to myself from being isolated for so long and fixing those problems led to me being able to fix my current self and fix those current problems. So I manned up and I moved back in with my mom. So now I'm living with her again, but I managed to still like help out around the house, pay some bills. But the biggest thing was I worked on my debts. Now this is something that a lot of people struggle with, and that's once you get to a certain point with debt, it feels like it's almost impossible to dig yourself back out of it. And I know how that feels. Thankfully, I wasn't one of those people that had like hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt like a lot of people in America do because of medical bills. But like there are a bunch of people who also just have credit card debt. Like Darkside Phil is a great example of that. There was a point where I thought like maybe I'll just give up on trying to fix it and just go with the bankruptcy and then like try to just deal without having credit for 7 years. But over the last 5 years, I actually managed to consolidate a few of my loans and my credit cards into one loan, which ended up making it super easy for me to like pay off that interest and pay off those debts. So now I'm actually almost completely paid off. I only have one debt left and it's only about $800. So it took me 4 years to finally get that gap completely closed. And now my credit went from being like literally nothing to being able to get a credit card again. So now I've applied for the credit card. I got it. I'm not going to go with a huge limit or anything, but at least it's nice. It's a good step for me, essentially. It's a good place to build up and kind of go from there. So now that that's all done with, it's like, yes, I finally hit some sort of milestone with myself. I feel proud of myself. I feel proud of the steps that I took and the movements I made and the responsibilities I put on myself to actually hit those steps and get actually have credit again. So having that is definitely a nice little achievement for myself that I've done over the last 4 years. So, I mean, a lot of people will always just kind of say, well, you could just take the bankruptcy and give up. Nah, no point, because then you're screwed for 7 years and you can rebuild it much faster. And if you rebuild it, you actually look a lot better in a lot of the company's eyes because you actually went out of your way to pay it back instead of trying to find a way to just, sweep it under the rug. So I got that, and that was great. I'm super proud of myself, super happy. The fact that I'm so close to just being completely debt-free, it makes my nips hard. And that was actually something I was going to bring up in the stream with World of Warcraft. But I was like, you know what? This seems like a good conversation to just kind of have like one-on-one with the chat and not just like get sidetracked the entire time. But essentially, I learned a lot of life lessons from that. And one thing is definitely don't think with your penis. That's one of the biggest ones. The second one is don't do depression buying. Never just give in to the depression. If you're finding yourself at the point where you're making terrible decisions and you see yourself falling into a pattern where you can't sustain that version of yourself, getting therapy is probably the best thing you could possibly do. And for me, I never shun people who take therapy or anything like that. Like, it's a good thing to have. Working on yourself is never a bad thing. Because even if you don't really have any issues, like even if you seem genuinely like content with your life, there is probably something that you may not notice that just needs to come out. Whether it's subconscious or not, going to therapy, like even if it's once a month, really opens your eyes to a lot of the thoughts around you and the way your brain kind of processes the information and the relationships that you have with people. It's quite nice. But yeah, I figured, I don't know why exactly I decided to share that, but I felt like it would show a different side of me. One that's like, hey, it's not necessarily that I trust you guys, but it's like I want to relate to you. I want you to know who I am. I want you to know where I've been. And I'm sure there are people in the chat that I relate to for this, or who relate to me for this. But I figured I would just share my story and my little proud moment, because now I'm getting my air conditioner. And that's kind of the reason I had to suffer for so long, because I couldn't buy one. But now I can. So it's nice. I feel accomplished. I pat myself on the back. I look myself in the mirror and I go, well, you went through some hardships, but at least you made it out of there completely fine. Well, maybe a little fatter than usual, but still overall completely fine. So that's my little story that I decided to start with, a little personal story. I guess I should kind of talk about like the relationship and how it was. So like the one problem with relationships like that where somebody just uses you that much, the problem is you just don't notice it. Like the weird thing is how blind you're willing to be. Like you may notice the patterns a couple times and go, well, that does seem weird, but for some reason that lack of companionship for those years made it so that I craved it so much I was willing to look past it. Even if it was subconsciously I was looking past it, I still look past it. But the thing is, I don't think anybody should have to go through that with anybody. It's like those abusive relationships. It makes no sense to me. Why would you want to stay with somebody that hurts you? Why would you want to stay with somebody you'd have to change? And I guess to answer that question, the easiest one for me anyways was it's easier than being alone. As weird as that sounds, it's easier than just being by yourself. Um, putting yourself in the shoes of somebody who's been emotionally or physically abused, it's a tough one because for me it's usually emotional abuse, right? It's not the physical. I'm a giant. It's hard to physically abuse me without me being able to stop you. I've never had to actually stop anybody for that, but I would stop you from stabbing me or hitting me. It's that simple. But for the emotional abuse, I get it. I get why people stick with somebody that's awful to them. And the reason for that is the need to change somebody makes it so that you look away from your own faults and focus on theirs. And when you focus on their faults and trying to fix theirs, and if you succeed, great. It basically means that you can work on yourself and fix yourself. But because you don't know how to do that, you try it with someone else, and if it doesn't work, well, more often than not, you just end up dead. So, oops. But in situations like mine in the past, I've realized that it was just easier to look at somebody else's faults and figure out how to fix theirs versus looking at myself and taking the time to be by myself to fix my own issues. And I feel like a lot of people deal with that, like more than are willing to admit that they do, because it just seems so weak. Like you seem so vulnerable trying to justify the way people treat you and the way you try to fix people that don't need or deserve you fixing them. Um, it's interesting to me. It's always interesting to see how the pattern is always the same too. Like it's always very very similar. Very rarely do you find one where it's like, no, I love myself. I love everything about my life. I just go out with this asshole because I feel like I could change it and legitimately mean it's very rare for that to be the case. Because even if they don't admit it, odds are there was something that happened to them as a kid, from a parent, an uncle, a friend, just a stranger. It could be anybody. A lot of the times it's a hidden trauma that made it so that even if their life seems perfect and they seem perfect and they think they're perfect, there's still something inside them that, needs to come out. Whether they subconsciously think they need to be punished for something they did, or whether they think changing them can make them feel better about themselves, or even if they think it can change them in the end. It's a tough situation. It's a tough life to live. But the only reason I even really started thinking about this kind of stuff is because I've been getting into those true crime documentaries. And the true crime stuff, man, it's a wild ride. The amount of like fucked up, terrible crimes that have been done that I've just found out about. It's just like how can half of these parents do that to their children, or how can half these children do that to their parents? Because a lot of these true crime ones, it's literally just families killing their own family. It's so strange. I don't understand it. And like when you watch it, hey, now I thought you didn't want to go with such heavy topics. Well, I think true crime's a little bit different than politics. Politics, I find, is a little bit harder to talk about because you risk hurting so many people's feelings, or you risk triggering something that you don't necessarily want to make into an argument. Whereas talking about true crime, it's literally just talking about people who who are terrible monsters that have gotten away with or have been arrested for the shit that they've done. It's like like heavy topics to me are ones where there could be a debate back and forth, whereas I think we can be pretty sure if we're talking about somebody who just like strangled a baby, they're monsters. Anybody who defends that shit, like I don't know how the lawyers can actually be a defense lawyer for people like that, and like sit there and actually do that. You think that true crimes is less heavy than politics crimes that are true where people actually died. You are an odd duck, sir. I think it's a less heavy topic because it's so like understandable. Like it's so understanded by what's the word I'm looking for here? It's so well known to everybody that this is a bad thing. Whereas if I talk politics or religion, there's a 50-50 chance it's going to hurt somebody's feelings or piss them off, or it'll do the opposite and make them happy, right? So I think that makes it a little bit more of a heavy topic, whereas true crime is very universal in terms of people's opinions. Like, sure, there's going to be the one troll in the comments that like, he probably didn't do it, as there's like photos of him choking his baby. But the thing is the reason I even wanted to bring that up is because I've noticed a pattern with like a lot of the different crimes and how they're committed and how people are interviewed. It's really strange to watch it happen. Like, there's a channel called JCS Psychology or Criminal Psychology. They do a lot of these documentaries on the actual interviews that the police do, and it's fascinating to watch. Hey, Dazzle. And other current topics are just messy. It's true. And I've already tried to cover that a couple times, so I figure, hey, fuck it, true crime. Something that everybody can universally agree to. Yeah, so it's just interesting to see, like, Grant Amato. He's probably one of the more famous ones. He's the one that that had like an obsession with mod of the fucking year. Not in this chat though. What, you want to be mod, Dazzle? You want that responsibility? I don't mind giving you the green sword if you want it. But Grant Amato was an interesting story. Is Runestone going to join soon? I actually don't know. He's not online. I sent him a couple messages, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see. In the meantime, let's talk about Grant Amato. So this story I thought was fucking goofy because, like, if you hear just the headline, man kills entire family so he can give money to a cam girl, you don't think that that's going to end up being true. Especially when it's $200,000 that he's given her in the course of a year. So as soon as I heard that, I was like, I've got to watch this. There's no way this is real. There's no way this guy acts like a completely normal person. But cam girls, though, sheesh. I mean, you're not wrong. I'm a pretty big supporter of cam girls and stuff like that. Like, the sex work industry is great. I completely think they deserve a lot more respect than they actually get. For me, I've had friends that were strippers. I've had friends that were in porn. I mean, I go on OnlyFans and I support whoever I think I like. Whatever you decide about. I'm often lurking AFK though. That's all right. You know what? I'll give you the green sword. I've seen you in Maximum's chat. You do a lot of good modding, so why not? And then Dzalk 2. I think it worked. I'm not sure. I wish it popped up with a confirmation message saying, like, hey, you've now made this man a mod. I guess we'll just wait. There it is. You got the green sword. You've been knighted, good sir. But, I guess back to the whole Grant Amato thing. Like, you wouldn't think somebody who would give that much money and steal $200,000 from his family would be a normal individual, right? So the weirdest part about watching this little like documentary was the fact that he was a medical student, or no, he was a full-on doctor. Like he had a practice that he went to, and he was a doctor, or it was a hospital. It was something. Anyway, he was allowed near children, near families. He helped sick people. He was smart. Like he was a completely stand-up citizen, and then all of a sudden, I don't know what it was, but he lost his job. I think it was because he stole a bunch of drugs and sold them. So I mean, of course, that ends up being he got fired because he wanted to be like Dr. House and it didn't work. But then apparently he like tried to start being a Twitch streamer of all things, and apparently he like got like 1,000 followers, and everybody's like, "Oh, cool!" And he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna become so famous." So then he, what was it that he did? He basically, yeah. So he basically told his family that he's gonna try being a Twitch streamer, right? So he kept asking for investments from his family and friends, and I think he got like $40,000 or $50,000 and just gave it to this cam girl. And he kept trying to like tell her that he's this rich Twitch streamer and that she should fly out and come see him. But I mean, who's gonna do that? She's a cam girl. She's in Ukraine. All she's happy about is that you paid for a house and 18 years worth of food for her. Like, she's not coming to see your bald ass, especially when you're simping that hard. She could just stay at home. You didn't give her any reason to leave the house. So then I guess his family figured out what was going on with him, and then they like put him in rehab and all that shit. And then he came back home and he was given a list of rules that are like, you're not allowed to go and talk to this girl. You're not allowed to go on these campsites. You can go on everything else, but you cannot go here. First thing he does is he goes there, steals money from his house. I think it was like another $80,000 worth of stuff that he pawned. And then he just went back onto the site and gave her all the money. And I guess his family found out, and all of a sudden he just snapped, and he went up to his mother and like hit her in the back of the head with a claw hammer or some shit, and then killed her, and then killed his father, and then killed one of his brothers who was just there. And then he just went back to just doing everything normally. And then he left the house. Then they found the house, and they found him, and then they put him in the interview, and he's just like, "No, I didn't kill him." And he just seems so calm, and I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? This guy seemed so normal until somebody told him not to give money to a Twitch, or sorry, not a Twitch streamer, to a cam girl. And I'm thinking, like, what kind of weird addiction does this guy have that made him kill his family for it? And then the interview with him is just so normal, and then they show him the pictures of everything, and then he just breaks out into tears. Like, the amount of times that happens for these true crime things where they just, I think it's called familicide, where they just kill their families, they all kind of have the same thing. They seem completely normal, they lived a completely normal life, and then something just like snapped. Yeah, psychosis. Yeah, but the thing is like, where were the signs before or after? It was like a very, very small window that psychosis kicked in, and then it just disappeared, like blind rage or something. And I would just want to be I would just want to know what triggered him. Like, what was it that finally pushed him over? I mean, of course we're able to just kind of guess, but he never really said what made him actually kill his family. The weirdest part was that the one brother who survived all this, oh, he wasn't home at the time, right? So he has to go into the police interview after he has been told that his brother killed his entire family. And he went in and hugged him. He had to have the nerve to hug him to try to get a confession out of him. Do you know how ballsy that brother has to be in order to go in there and not just fucking knock the teeth out of his mouth? I would be stomping on his throat. I would be destroying that man if a brother of mine decided to just be like, nah, control delete the family. Excuse me. Like, the problem is too, it's like it always seems to happen this way. They all seem to fall under the same pattern: extremely calm, plays up certain emotions when they feel like the time is right, they lose the pattern of that, and then they get called out on it, and then they finally give in. It's so weird. It's fascinating though. I never want to be part of these documentaries, but watching them is great. Could you imagine somebody watches them and they're like, oh, I'm going to star in one of these. And then the brother's just like, what'd you say? No, don't do it. So I don't know. I've been on kind of a kick of those recently. The ones that I've been watching are That Chapter, JCS or Criminal Psychology, and Monsters. Monsters is a good one. It's basically just a podcast where they go over like the most horrendous crimes. And I know it's like super weird to have like an entire history that's mostly just true crime. It makes it look like I'm trying to take notes and like figure out how to get away with it myself. So this is just for my FBI agent. I just find it entertaining. I'm not going to do anything. I'm too fat lazy and stoned to ever do anything like that. No, I love my family way too much for that kind of shit. I don't understand. Well, the thing is I can't understand where these people come from because they. Yeah, you definitely don't want to be watching TV and think, wow, that's me. Yeah, that's the wrong show to really go, wow, that reminds me a lot of myself, as you're just like holding a knife. Your family's just like, the surprise in the room. Even the dog's like, But no, they're fascinating to watch. They're one of the few they're one of the things I can fall down the deepest rabbit hole for. And it's fascinating to me because I can't understand where they come from, right? Like for me, I could never picture hurting a family member of mine. I couldn't picture hurting my friends. I have too much empathy for that. Whereas these people don't give a fuck about anything. I kind of wish I had the ability to not care as much as I do, but not to that extent. Like that's that's another fucking level of like why. But like one thing I don't get is why don't we just fucking off them? Like for crimes like that, I don't care that you've been given 5 life sentences. You're still a drain on society, and there's more taxpayer money going to keeping you alive than if we were to just off you. I feel like if it's proven without a doubt like that, like for certain cases like that, just execute them in the courtroom. Why not? Make it entertaining for the family who has to deal with the victims, right? Like if I was ever in a situation where I was in a courtroom and I had to face somebody who killed somebody I knew, I would ask the judge to give me one of the deputy's guns and let me just finish him right there, put a bullet between his eyes and one up the ass. Just for good old fashioned, like, yeah, at least I know you're fucking dead kind of thing, right? Last thing you want to do is get outlived by somebody's killer. Like that's the worst. I'm a big proponent of capital punishment for people that have committed horrendous crimes. Pedophiles is a big one. I don't think they deserve death, but they deserve their genitals to be removed. I think they should only have an anus and like a straw that they have to pee out of. I think that's all they deserve. Make them smooth like a Ken doll. And I know there's probably people out there that are like, oh, it's cruel. I don't give a fuck. Kill them. Off them. Child molesters? Get rid of them. Kill them. I don't care. I don't know how that's considered a controversial take. Problem is that it might actually be mental break psychosis, and it's even more difficult cases. The death penalty may be used on the wrong person. Had to do a lot of ethics, but I get your point. Yeah, no, but I can understand if it's like, oh, there might even be a sliver of doubt, but I'm talking about the ones that are 100% case closed. There's absolutely no way this was somebody else. Just kill them. Just get rid of them. Don't throw away the key. Cut their throat. Throw them in the trash where they belong. That's it. They're worse than cattle. Like they should be treated worse than animals do. And we don't even need mental asylums. Not for people like that. No way. If somebody, I don't care if you have schizophrenia or any of that shit. If you have the nerve to murder somebody and you're going to blame your mental health, I don't give a fuck. Kill them. Just get rid of them. They're not worth it. They're not worth being a drain on society. Maybe that's going to be the most fucking controversial take I've ever made. But I just don't personally believe it. What's the point in putting somebody in a mental asylum for the rest of their lives, right? What is it going to fix? Nothing, because they'll never be allowed to see the light of day anyway. So what, you just give them peace of mind so that they can sit there and be like, oh wow, 15 years later, I really did fuck up, huh? No. Get rid of them. And keep in mind, I'm not saying for just like a petty theft or anything like that. If you rape and kill a child, you deserve it. If you rape or kill anybody, you deserve it. That's just kind of how it is. Yeah, we did end up getting into heavy topics. I don't want to talk about politics. It just happens. Like my brain is just like, yeah, there's no way anybody's gonna get mad at me for saying this, and then there's gonna be that one guy who's just like, but what if they didn't commit the crime? And it's like, well, I mean, I specifically said the ones that there is absolutely no doubt. Like the guy who killed his entire family. There was so much proof, and there was absolutely no way anybody else did it, and he admitted to it, and it's just like, why bother spending hundreds of thousands of dollars keeping this animal alive? Kill him and feed him to PETA. At least that way it's ethical meat. They'll probably eat it. Oh no. That's going to be offensive for a lot of people. I just realized how offensive that's probably going to come across. Whoops. I guess it's a good thing I've got cunt on my table. Gives people at least an idea of who and what I am. But I don't know. I always found that so fascinating. And then it's just like, and what's the point in giving additional life sentences? I've never understood that part. Is there like a finite number to a life sentence? Like, it sounds so matter of fact, but then they're like, yeah, we're going to give you 17. We're going to give you 17 life sentences. Bargaining. But what's the bargain? After one life sentence, it's like, so do I have to die, and then if I come back to life, it counts as a life sentence? Like, is that a loophole? If I were to be in prison and have 5 life sentences, and then I kill myself, and I'm legally dead once, and I get brought back to life, is one of my life sentences gone? Having so many prevents... Yeah, but that's the thing, is if it's a life sentence, they shouldn't be able to get out anyway. A life sentence is like 15 years. What the fuck? I thought a life sentence just literally meant you're here until the day you die. Like, what's the point in calling it a life sentence if it has a finite number of years? Just say it has that many years. What's the point in calling it a life sentence? 15 years was like life sentence back in the Wild West because people would get like herpes or something, scratch and sniff it until they passed out from the smell and died. With parole. Yeah, but at that point, like, I can understand the with paroles, but what about the life sentences with no parole? Why do they add like 5 to 10 of those onto one person who's a serial killer? Is it just for the families to be like, yes, we got justice, but in reality only one of those really mattered because he's going to be there till the day he dies anyway? I've never really understood the additionals. Maybe it's some weird loophole in law. Law is a weird thing. Law is fucking crazy. There's so many loopholes and shit that people get away with. I don't understand it myself, but it's crazy to me. Just for the charges, it's kind of funny how many some people can rack up. Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like, at a certain point, what's the point? Does the prison just get more money at the amount of life sentences that are in the death on this one particular prisoner? This prisoner has 10 life sentences. We will give you 10 times the funding to make sure his life sucks. It's like, I don't get it. I don't understand. At a certain point, once you've hit life sentence, no parole, after 15, 20 years, they should just off you. Just get rid of you. They're clearly not going to find anything that makes you innocent. I don't get it. I guess it's just for families to be able to visit them, but it's like, I don't know. It doesn't seem right to me. Like, people that perform those crimes don't deserve any kind of peace. None. At all. Well, I guess in some cases, death is peace. Well, I guess I kind of have to balance the fact that maybe, just maybe, living could be considered worse than dying. No, death is worse. Death, you cease to exist. Which means that people can start growing from there. This just got deep, ladies and gentlemen. What am I, spreading my asshole? Sorry. Yeah, it did get pretty deep, didn't it? But it's just interesting to me. It's like certain things I can understand, like self-defense killings, second degree murder. Is that a thing? Yeah. And then first degree murder being the one where it's like, okay, if this is without a doubt true, you're gone, you're dead. Like, that's the one that needs to just be like, all right, off him, send him to the meat factory. We'll put him in the school lunches again. And then the person takes a bite out of it, shoots up the school because he has mad human disease. Ooh, oh no, what am I doing? I'm going deeper down this rabbit hole. This isn't good. This isn't good. Somebody get me out of here. Oh no. Oh, why do I let my brain do all the controls? I gotta stop that. I gotta stop letting my brain do things. It's too prison disease. Is prison disease? Oh man, could you imagine? Like, I got one of the cheap burgers from school, tasted kind of human. I guess I'm gonna have prison disease. Prison disease just sounds like you got AIDS when you dropped the soap once. I got that prison disease, baby. Athlete's foot and AIDS. Oh man, prisons are a wild place. At least from what I'm seeing in like the shit that prison bumps. Isn't that just anal? Isn't that what prison bumps are? Or is prison bump? Oh, some one day I'm gonna end up there. No, I'm not. I'm never going there. I'm too nice of a person, and my butt is too nice and round. It's huge too. You've seen it on Maximum Underdrive stream. Uh, I would not do well in prison. They would call me Pillsbury Doughboy, and every time they butt fucked me, they would make me go every single time. It would be terrible. It would be a bad time. And then they'd be like, "We're gonna put our icing on your cinnamon buns," and I'm gonna be like, "Why? I'm not here on purpose." Ah, the sad old days. Old days. I've never even been to jail. I've never committed a crime. I've never even gotten a speeding ticket. Here I am acting like if I ever went to jail, I would do so and so. I wouldn't. I'd be too much of a pussy. Like, I'm one of those people that can fully admit that if I ever went to jail, I'd be fucking dead. They'd see me and they'd just be like, yeah, he's gonna narc on us. The first thing he'll do if he sees a chance to leave this place is he'll tell on us, and then they'll just get rid of me. I would not do well in prison. But then I'm sure there's like people that would be the exact opposite. They'd be like, yeah, if I went to prison, I would join the Nazis. I'd have my backup. I'd join one of the gangs. I'd have a shiv. It's like, why are you planning for this? Like, what are you going to be doing in the next couple of years where this is going to be a thing? And then a few years later, you just see a white Dodge Durango going down this highway with police behind it. And you're like, God damn it, OJ. Oh man. I mean, other than that, I really haven't been doing too much. I've been making one other YouTube channel recently. I haven't posted anything on it because I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. But I figured if I'm going to get it, I might as well take it while I can. So I made the channel called Ruthless Shorts. Because at some point, I do want to start making some smaller skits. Or even just like taking clips and making shorts out of them now that they're coming to Canada. Or I think they're coming to Canada and the UK and I think India? Or maybe India already had it for a while. I can't remember. But I'm going to make a separate channel for skits. Because I'm noticing a lot of those big channels, they have a main channel, a second channel, and then a skits channel. So instead of me starting like what they do and then like having it all on the main channel and then like switching it over to another channel, I'm just going to have those channels ready to go whenever I need them. So I built that. I don't even know why I spent so much time on it. I made the little banner. I made the thumbnail, and it's not even public. I don't know why I did that. It's so much extra work for no reason. And I mean, like, I've edited some more videos the last couple days too, just because I haven't been streaming during the day because of the heat. I do not do well in heat. I've never been one of those people that can sit here during the summer with no fan going and just push through. If I turn off even this tiny fan right here, I will start perspiring like I'm a snowman melting in summer. It's pretty fucked up. So ball sweat stains. Actually, that's like one of the few places that don't sweat for me. My balls are always cool. I have some sweet looking cool balls. Ruthless Microvids. Oh, Microvids. That's good. I like that. That's actually a sick name. I'll have to change it. Ruthless Microvids. It just sounds like I'm going to show you my small penis. I'm going to show you my microvids. Yeah, no, I can't for the summer. It's so hard for me to just be, that was the goal. Oh, okay, good. Yeah, we're on the same page then. Like, during the summer, though, I can't stand the heat. I hate it. I absolutely detest it. So during the day, I typically don't stream when it's over 20 degrees because I'm just boiling. I'm dying from the heat. And I don't want to be constantly drinking water the entire time because then I'd have to get up every 30 minutes, lower the green screen, move my setup, and go piss. So it's like, oh, it's such an inconvenience. So I figured during the day I'll do my edits. During the nighttime, like this time frame, I'll do my streams. That's kind of what I've been doing the last couple days. Because May was not a good month for me for streaming. And a lot of that had to do with like me being sick, getting the vaccine, my mental capacity of where I was at in terms of certain depressions that I had, and just the overall heat. All that mixed together made it so I was just lethargic. I just didn't want anything to do with trying to be entertaining. I was in a bad mood. I was grumpy. But again, getting to the place where I'm going to be getting an air conditioner in about 2 weeks, something along those lines. So in 2 weeks, I'll be able to stream whatever I want, and I won't have to worry about everything being too loud for the microphone and having a fan blowing on me in the background, right? So it's exciting for me. It'll be the first summer I actually have an air conditioner. Oh, it's gonna be so nice. It's gonna be the best situation for me ever. Oh, I've never been comfortable during the summers, so this will be that first year where it's like, ooh, pristine. Oh, fantastic. I'm so excited. So hopefully, compared to last year with me being bald around this time, like I shaved my head because of how hot I was still dripping sweat, so I was constantly dabbing my forehead. So I'm hoping this year I don't look like I'm somebody super nervous, because every single time I dab my forehead, I was just like, it's like I'm in the middle of an interrogation, just be like, it's not what you think. AC unboxing and setup stream. Maybe. That one I'm going to have to give you a solid maybe on that. Just because my closet is a fucking mess and it doesn't have a door. Like, it's an embarrassingly messy closet. I don't know if I want to show that. But I'll see. I'll see if I can cover it up enough. All good. Hey, fair enough. I mean, I could probably do an AC unboxing and setup video. But I don't know how well that would be. It probably wouldn't be very entertaining. And honestly, when I build stuff, there's a severe portion of my ass that usually gets exposed. People have plumber's crack. I have plumber's Grand Canyon. It's a gaper, my dude. It's a gaper. Well, yeah, maybe for you, but not for Twitch. YouTube, I could get away with it. Twitch, I couldn't. There's too much to see, and most of the people that see it don't want to. So I would get banned immediately. But yeah, when it comes to me setting up stuff, if I'm building something, a lot of the times I get super frustrated because I'm too lazy to deal with instructions. So I just kind of build it, and if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, oh well. I haven't really had any situations where I've like had any extra parts or anything, and honestly, I've built everything pretty solid. I don't think I've ever really screwed up to the point where I was just like, all right, well, we got to throw it out. I think there was one time I screwed up, and it was because I forgot to put the magnets on the inside of the door so that when you close the cabinet, it just stays closed, or like it just magnetically stays closed. But we never noticed that being an issue anyway, because it just stayed closed until you opened it regardless. It just, yeah, I forgot it, but it still works. That's just kind of how it works for me. I'm always improv. That's all I do. But it probably helps that I have like a history of woodworking, and I've also been in metal worker. I did do welding for a little bit, so I at least know that portion of things. And I have built like tables from scratch. I've built chairs from scratch. I've actually built a motorcycle from scratch. Well, not a motorcycle. It was like a motorcycle, but with like a go-kart engine. I guess it would be closer to a dirt bike, but no, it had like the similar style as like those. They're the motorcycles that have the back tire, and then they have like the really long front spokes. I don't remember what those are called, but we made those in high school, and we got to race them on the track and field track. It was pretty cool. We actually it actually like stayed balanced and worked the entire time, whereas a few other people in my class didn't even get it to like move. So I was like, yes, we win. It was a pretty good accomplishment for me, because it actually showed like I knew how to put measurements together. I knew how to cut the pieces that I need. I knew how to wire everything that I needed to. I knew how to place an engine. I knew how to support the engine. Like, it was just things like that it made me go, huh, that was fun. I can understand why Tim the Toolman Taylor always wanted to build his hot rod, just sucked at everything he did. But yeah, no, that's kind of where I am when it comes to building stuff. So maybe for the AC unit. really long maybe. Of all the things for me to say and do, I could have just not told you the story, just said maybe. But But yeah, no, it'll be interesting because I'm going to be putting it in the corner of my room next to my television, but it's like going to be on top of my dresser, so it'll be interesting because it'll be so high up, and it's just the only reason I'm putting it there. It's the only place that's close enough to put it, the vent thing in the window, which is literally behind my monitors. So I don't want it to be too close to the computer or microphone just in case it leaks. But if it leaks next to this shitty television, then we're fine. I'll just get a new one. Then I wonder how I ended up in debt. But yeah, no, I thought today would be a good time to bring up some more personal stories and like talk about some of the things that I've been watching and doing. I will say I did catch some of Runestone's stream with the hot tub, and like I didn't really realize what he looked like. Like I've seen pictures of him, but I haven't actually seen him in more than just like a screenshot, right? Because most of the time I'm watching him, I'm on Maximum Underdrive's stream, so I hear the voice. But when I saw him, I was just like, oh, he's just like me. He's a big white guy. But the funny thing about it is he really, really reminds me of like a young Jack Patillo from Rooster Teeth. But like he's more entertaining. Jack Patillo was definitely more straight edge, very much like the one keeping everything in order kind of thing. But he's got that same kind of demanding presence, I guess is the way of putting it. Because when he speaks, he's got that deep, manly voice. He's got like what I would call a radio voice, and overall he just has like a good charisma to him. So I it's too bad he wasn't here. I'm hoping I can bring him on to the podcast a different time. I'm guessing something just happened. Shit happens all the time, and honestly this is the least professional podcast ever, so I can't really blame him for like not messaging me. So I mean we'll see what happens. We'll work something out. We'll make it so it happens, because I would like to get to know him a little bit more. He seems like a genuinely chill guy. It's too bad he wasn't here, but hey, gave us a chance to talk about some of the things going on in my life. I guess what else is there? I can't really think of too much. Well, I guess we could talk about like how Twitch decided to add like a bunch of different tags to like categories and stuff like that, and I'm completely fine with that. In fact, like I'm loving the fact that they took just chatting and separated it into so many different categories. Like having the talk shows and podcasts is so much better than just having to be inside just chatting. I like the idea of people knowing exactly what they're coming in for. So whether that be hot tub streams, people just chit-chatting with the chat, having a podcast. I guess technically I could fall under just chatting too, but whatever. And like having like a reactions area where people can watch YouTube with you and react to that stuff with you. I like that they made it a little bit more variety instead of making it so many things fit under one umbrella. Because like for me, I've never had a problem with hot tub streamers. Never have. I personally think that they're an okay addition to Twitch. They fill a niche market that nobody else is really doing and hasn't done until they started doing it. But I didn't really like that they would take just chatting and make it so like the first 18 searches are just people in the hot tub, right? I like the idea of having a certain area where these people can go, because then for people who want that market, they can go and watch it. I mean, I've tuned into a couple of them just to see what's going on. Yeah, I can understand the appeal. But for me, it was just never really my thing to watch. Because if I'm going to watch it, I'm just going to go on OnlyFans and give somebody $5 and see their titties. That's just kind of how my thought process works. Or I'll go on the hub and just, watch some of the good old stuff. But I can understand why a younger audience would want to experience that. Like, when we were 14 or 15, did we not try to do the same thing? I mean, if Twitch had that, I'd probably be on there every day being like, maybe we'll see a slip this time. Oh, okay. So something did come up. That's okay. We'll make it work for a different time. Just give me 1 sec. Just going to send him a message. All good. There we go. Maybe we can get them on for next week. That'll be good. We're setting up the next stream live as we're doing it. So what was I talking about? Oh, yes, sir. Well, there we go. Confirmation. Perfect. So next week we'll have Runestone on. So that'll be a lot of fun. Okay, so I guess back to what I was talking about, like, hot tub streamers, right? So like, it's nice that Twitch is expanding on what they're willing to keep under their umbrella. It's better that they've made it there so there's more of a variety of categories that people can fall under. One thing I didn't think they needed to categorize though was race. I've noticed that there was a lot of tags for like race and stuff, and I was like, that seems odd. I mean, shouldn't that be the last thing we want to tag? Like, wouldn't that be weird if I tagged my stream white? Actually, you know what? Why don't I take a look at what the actual tags were? Because where would I find those? Edit stream. Yeah, they added a bunch of like racial terms, not like bad racial terms, but like Latino, black, stuff like that. They added that to the search terms, and I thought that was really strange, because doesn't that seem to make it more focused on race than it needs to be? I just thought that was odd. I'm sure there's probably a really good reason for it. Maybe people are just specifically looking for black or Latino creators. I can see that being the case. But I just thought it was, I thought that extra focus on it, well, yeah, I guess that could work for more searches. I'm just trying to figure out why, because it sounds like it's more divisive than it actually is. I didn't really pay too much attention to it other than what the quartering said about it, and I just thought it was so odd. Like, I watch a lot of the stuff that the quartering does, and I watch a lot of the stuff that Philip DeFranco does, because they're contrasting sides of a spectrum, and I like to see both sides in order to figure out what the hell's actually happening, right? Because both sides are going to be biased in their ways. I like to just make sure I get the gist of it, like that solid line that definitely has both things in common. I just thought the race thing was odd. I don't really care. I just thought it was strange. Now what the hell else? There was something else. What the fuck was I going to talk about? Oh, on Friday. I think it was Black History Month. Well, no, they just added it this month, didn't they? Maybe they did it because it's Pride Month. I didn't think about that. I think they added LGBTQ plus as well. That would make sense. I think the only one they didn't add was white, but then again, it would be really weird if you decided to tag your stream as white, because then it just sounds like the connotations behind it just sound so bad. I'm a white streamer. Oh, just saying that sounds awful. That sounds so bad. Different races due to the oversaturation of white content creators. Oh, it can always be controversial, but I think the reasons were good. Okay. See, that makes sense. It's just the little bit of videos that I saw only brought up the fact that they did have it, but not the reason why they had it. So, like, I initially thought it was probably to make it easier to find creators of color, right? Because that would make sense. Like, oh, I want to support a Latino community, or I want to support the black community, or the Asian community. I can understand them searching, like, specifically based on those. That makes sense. It's just the way I guess it came across in the two videos that I saw. It seemed very pandery, and it didn't seem like they were doing it out of goodness, but out of like corporate greed. Like, don't look at what we're actually doing, look at this awesome thing we're doing over here. You know what I mean? Like it's something to kind of block your vision from everything else that's going on. But I'm glad to know it's just stuff like that. It worries me when I see people from both sides of the aisle being like, is that really what you want to be doing, Twitch? And I'm like, was it bad? What happened? What else was there? There was stuff. Oh, yes, I was talking about Friday. So Friday, me and Oz are going to be playing a co-op game. I forgot the name of it. I think it was Clementine? Damn it. Let me just go back and see it. Oh, damn it, Oz. We talk too much on Discord. It's going to be so hard to find this. Oh my god. Oh, here it is. A clandestine. That's it. So clandestine. It's a co-op game where one person plays a hacker, the other one plays the like hitman or agent, whatever you really want to call them. So I'm very curious to see how that's going to play out. I'm gonna buy that for Friday. And then the other game I was thinking of playing that Zarin brought up was, I think it's called Agony. I've noticed some people have been getting away with it on Twitch. He was one of the first ones that told me he was getting away with it because there is nudity in the game, right? So it's hard to tell when Twitch is going to bring out their band penis and fuck you with it, you know. So I might do a little bit more waiting on that one. I might buy that one on like a Monday or something because I mean Friday I'm already going to be streaming with Oz anyways. I don't really need that game for that day. And then on the weekend, I'm probably going to be playing World of Warcraft or Warzone with my buds. Speaking of which, Mark, who just disappeared for a while there, finally came back. I don't know who remembers Mark. I used to play Warzone with him all the time. He started off as a follower of mine and then became quite a close friend. So having him back is pretty cool. So I don't know if that means we're going to play Warzone again, because that was kind of our game. That was our go-to. That or maybe even Star Wars. He always wanted to play Star Wars with me, but then the one time I wanted to play with him, he disappeared. Turns out he was in university, but he just kind of disappeared, and I was like, all right, I guess I'll just play World of Warcraft. It was around the same time as Shadowlands too, so it wasn't too big of a deal. So I'm either going to be playing World of Warcraft or I'm going to be playing maybe Star Wars with Mark. I'll talk to him and see what's going on, but I'll definitely be doing Clandestine with Oz on Friday. Tomorrow I work, unfortunately, so I'm going to most likely be doing World of Warcraft when I get home. I don't know if I'll be drinking during that stream. I hope I might, but we'll see. I'll probably be stoned. If anything, I'll probably be stoned. I'm trying to drink less. I'm finding that because I'm drinking more, I'm gaining some weight back, and I don't want to do that. If I'm gonna get inebriated, I'll just get stoned. Because I think it was beginning of April I tweeted out, or no, it was middle of April I tweeted out that I was 312 pounds. I got to 297 since then from all the working out that I've done, except I got drunk a couple days. And it was on beer, specifically beer. I think beer and wine is the one that makes you the most bloated. And I ended up gaining like 4 or 5 pounds back. I think I was 302. Yeah, I was 302.4. So I gained about 5 pounds back. So that sucks. Shots are a good idea. Shots might be where I go with it, but if I'm gonna buy like hard liquor, I'll probably wait till I get paid, just because then I can get a decent bottle instead of just like that cheap shit. Because I hate Smirnoff. When I was a kid, Smirnoff, oh, that shit fucked me up. Actually, I think it was Polar Ice screwed me up. Hey, you know what? Let's talk about my first party. I don't know if I brought this up in the podcast. I think I've definitely brought it up on stream, but I don't know if I brought it up on podcast. So I was 15. I was a big boy. This is back when I was 16. Sorry, I was a big boy. This is just after I had moved to Williams Lake. Well, a year into me living in Williams Lake, and I went from being 210 pounds to at this point I was 420. I think I doubled my weight in 1 year, which was dangerous. Somehow I avoided getting diabetes and like having heart problems. I do still have high blood pressure, but it's not as high as it used to be. And that's fine. With working out and drinking all the water that I do, it's been helping quite a bit. But so I was a dangerously big boy at this point. Like I was Wings of Redemption big. And I remember coming down and going to my buddy's house, and I was staying there for like a week. And then when I was there, I think we decided to go to another buddy's house who was having a party. And I think I remember going there, and we stopped off at the liquor store because my friend's brother was of age at the time, so he bought us all liquor. I don't know if there's a statute of limitations on that. As far as he was concerned, we were of legal age. No police are necessary. But then he bought us liquor. So for me, I went with the cheapest vodka I could find, and I think it was Polar Ice. I remember that black like label with the polar bear on it and little ice caps in the back, and I was just like, I mean, it's $15 for a 2.6. Let's go for it, bud. You know, like that was cheap, and it's definitely going to fuck me up. Here's where things got fun. So we get to the party, right? We go inside. We get our Dixie cups. I filled the entire Dixie cup with vodka. And I took a couple sips. I went, ugh, oh, because vodka's terrible. At least the cheap shit is. But I didn't feel anything, right? I was too dumb to realize that it takes a little bit of time for it to hit the bloodstream and really get you. I chugged the glass. Half of a 2-6 in one go. Dangerous, right? Especially since this is one of my first times drinking. But I still didn't feel anything. I wonder why. My stupid brain went, well, I'll go have a beer. Had 1 beer. Had 2 beers. Then I played beer pong. Had 4 more beers in that. Keep in mind, this is all in the span of about 20 to 30 minutes. Then I had the rest of my vodka. I finished playing beer pong. I went and took a piss. Came back out. Had a puff of weed, and my brain thought, yeah, you're not fucked up enough yet. Drink some more vodka. Chugged the bottle. I finished the 2-6 of vodka. And this is, I think I'm in 7 beers already at this point too. So I'm 2-6, I'm 7 beers in, and I am a puff or 2 of weed in. This is all my first times trying all of these. Oh boy. It gets worse. Somebody else cracked open a bottle of tequila. I poured my glass full of that. I chugged it. I chugged it. So at this point, I am half a 2-6 of tequila in, 1 2-6 of vodka in, and 7 beers in. It gets worse. I, of course, start to feel drunk. But not to the point where I think it's dangerous yet. Because it's only been about an hour. So I go to the bathroom, take a piss, come back out, smoke some more weed, have 4 more beers. Then I go on an adventure. I don't remember leaving the place. Oh, well, I mean, unless this is the afterlife, I'm assuming yes. So, the adventure consisted of me taking mushrooms, that I didn't realize that that's what I was eating, because whoever gave me the mushrooms put it on a slice of pizza and said it was easier to go down this way. They didn't tell me about the mushrooms. I just thought they were giving me pizza. So, of course, my drunk, stoned ass is just like, oh, pizza. So I ate, I think it was 2 or 3 slices that he brought with him. And keep in mind, it's a whole thing of pizza. All of them had the matching mushrooms on them. I ended up in a park. In a tree. As heavy as I was. I didn't have pants. I remember coming to and being like, where's my pants? What happened to my pants? They were still in the tree after I got out of the tree. I used a twig to beat them out of the tree. Put my pants back on. Still had my wallet, my phone, and everything. Nothing was taken, nothing was broken. I still don't know how I ended up in that park, but as soon as I figured out what was going on, went back to my buddy's place and fell asleep on the couch. Woke up to the worst hangover I have ever had, and ever since then, I've never been able to get hangovers. So maybe I destroyed my body so much that it was just like, nothing will ever be this bad. So we'll just make it so he never feels this bad ever again. And it was really, really funny to me. Like, not at the time, right? Because, like, the entire day I was just vomiting. I couldn't even drink water without vomiting and shitting all over the place. It was the worst hangover I think anybody's ever had. How I didn't end up in the hospital or have alcohol poisoning is beyond me. I think it's just the sheer fact that I was so heavy saved me from those problems. But ever since that day, I've never ever gotten that hungover. I don't think I can. I don't think my body will let me. Just because of the sheer amount of stuff I had consumed to get me to that point. I don't think I could ever ingest that much again without just vomiting from the sheer volume of it. And it's always been interesting to me because ever since then, even the night that I blacked out, which was recently, I still didn't get that hungover. Like I got a little bit of a hangover where I was just like tired and like kind of nauseous the next day, but I didn't end up with like a migraine headache or anything like that. I guess I'll talk about the more recent one too, just because that's I think the only other time I blacked out, because that day there's a solid like 3 or 4 hours I just don't remember. I know that's really weird to say, but like I mean to laugh about, but like the fact that I didn't have any text messages or phone calls, the police weren't notified about me, I wasn't covered in blood or anything. I was just like, oh, I was in a tree. Just shows what my blackoutness does. It's just like, I want to go be a child again, so I just go to a park and hang in a tree. Let my inner monkey fly. Oh my god. That's how we can prove evolution exists. Because when I'm blackout drunk, I just go into a tree and decide to hang from it. Yeah, but okay, so the most recent one, it must have been, it was just before, yeah, it was before coronavirus. So it would have been 2019 in September. It would have been for my birthday. So it was about, I think it was September, my birthday was September 11th. I think this was September 13th. So it was a couple days after my birthday. So I wasn't expecting anything like super over the top, especially from like a work gathering, right? So we get there. I get 2 beers. 2 of them, they're called Widowmakers. They're IPAs. One of my favorite things is Indian Pale Ales. They're the best. They're so good. They're like the smoothest beer you can drink. And they have the nicest taste. And they also have the highest percentage of alcohol. At about 6.8%. But I go up to the lady that's there. And the way this bar works is you go up to a cashier. It's kind of like fast food where you go, you order, you pay, you get it. Then you just take it to whatever table you want to sit at. So I ordered my 2 beers, and then I said, or she said, how are you doing? And I said, I'm doing great. Just turned, I think it was 27 I had just turned? No, 26 I had just turned. And she was just like, oh, happy birthday. So she poured a couple shots. And I was just like, oh, okay, cool. I'll have a shot with you. And she's like, no. You take all 3. And I was like, oh, all right, fine, fuck it. I don't need to worry about getting home. I'll either cab or I'm going to get a ride. Thankfully, one of my friends was sober enough to drive me home because I don't remember anything after a certain point. But we'll get there. So I took the 3 shots, just back, and then I chased it with the beer. I still had 1 more beer. So I, of course, go sit at the table, and I'm just like, I just had 3 shots and a beer, and I haven't eaten at all today. I haven't had a single thing. So I went back up to her, and I was like, okay, I need to get some fish tacos. So I ordered 2 fish tacos, and then she was just like, all right, bottoms up. And then she poured 2 more shots, 1 for me, 1 for her. So I was like, oh, okay. So then I drink another one. I mean, who's going to turn down free shots, right? This is when I start to feel it, because again, I haven't had anything to drink. I mean, anything to eat that day. And I was just like, I need my fish tacos. I need them so badly. So the lady goes and grabs the fish tacos from the window, and I notice she has a tray of tequila. And I'm like, oh no. I'm like the one person who's ever thinking, God, why am I getting so much free alcohol? And she comes up and she puts the fish tacos in front of me, and then she puts the tray of tequila in front of, like, in the middle of the table, so it's like not in front of me. And I'm like, oh good, it's not for me. So my boss at the time, he bought shots for everybody at the table, and then I'm like, okay, cool, I'll do the shot. I take the shot and I eat my tacos. I'm happy. I've got tacos in my system. I'm what, 5 shots in, 2 beers in now at this point. I go back down and order 2 more beers. So I grab my 2 beers, and I go back and I sit at the table. The worst part is I just noticed, you heard fish tacos and tequila? Yeah, it was a good night. So I get back to the table, and I see her come back with another tray. She's coming to our table again. And she puts this tray in front of me. It's not for anybody else. My manager went down and ordered me 6 shots to just take consecutively right there. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, what's the worst that can happen? I'm already tipsy at this point, so my judgment went from like here down to like gone. It's off the screen. So I'm like, all right, fine. I'll do it. So I do it. I just did shots. Like I did 6 right away, all at the same time. And I chased it with another fish taco that I had ordered. And here's the worst part. The fish taco I had ordered, I also put Million Scoville sauce on it because my buddy who lived in the apartment right above it went and grabbed his Hot One sauce, the last dab I think it was, and we put it all over our fish tacos. It wasn't just a dab, it was like a solid streak. And we just ate them. I was so drunk, I didn't feel it. I had no idea I ate anything spicy. That's how fucked up I was. And then I remember going into the bathroom, and that was it. Done. I don't remember anything else after that. I woke up the next day, and that was it. I was nauseous. I threw up a couple times, didn't have a headache, but it was definitely not near as bad as my first party. But I don't remember how I got home. Apparently, when I was there, the person who kept giving me the shots came back to the table, and my buddy took a business card of mine and wrote my number and my name on the back of it. And he apparently said to me, "I'll give her your number." And I went, here you go. And she went, "Thank you." And I went, "Yeah, you're welcome." And I don't even remember that happening. Thankfully, I didn't end up with a text message because she was married. So I'm glad that neither of them thought that I was actually serious. Or maybe I was serious. I don't know. I was blackout. I was going on instinct at that point. But that's probably the only other time I remember getting blackout drunk. I'm just trying to think if there might have been another time. I don't think there was. Because, like, I don't try to go out of that. Basic instinct, more like... Yeah, maybe it was my basic instinct. It's just, I want mate. You come home, I eat you like my fish taco. God, what a night, though. Then, like, COVID hit, and then I never had to worry about that again. Remake the scene from Basic Instinct, but you should be what's her name in the chair. That'd be a great gif. People are just like, I can't quite tell what's in the shadow there, but it kind of looks like a sad pile of roast beef. And I'll be like, yeah, you're basically right. God damn it. Oh man, is there any other like super embarrassing stories I could tell? I mean, yeah, there are a couple, but I think I'll save them for when I have a guest. Just because these particular stories might actually benefit from other people telling their stories as well. So I'm gonna see if maybe next time when Runestone's here next week, we'll see what we can get going on with that. But overall, I think this was a pretty decent podcast, all things considered, and kind of how sporadic it was. It was only going to end up being about an hour anyway, even with Runestone, just because of how late it is where he is. So it wasn't going to be a super long stream today. But tomorrow you can expect me to be doing World of Warcraft when I come home from work. So it may not be a super long stream, might be about 2, maybe 3 hours when I get done with work. But at least it's something more consistent than what I've been doing the last, like, month. Try to be more consistent with it. And on Friday, yes, I actually mentioned this earlier, Oz, but I don't think you were here. On Friday, we will be playing Clandestine. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I think it'll be very interesting to see the goofiness that can happen with a game like that. So very much looking forward to it. I know Oz is looking forward to it. I hope all of you are as well. Yes, it is going to be a blast. But yeah, tomorrow will be World of Warcraft. The next day I also work, so that will also be World of Warcraft. Friday will be Clandestine. Saturday and Sunday might be Warzone or Star Wars with Mark. I'll have to talk to him about that, see where we might go with things, because it'd be nice to catch up with him. For all I know, I might even bring him onto the podcast with Runestone just to see what goes on with that. Might just be more of a one-on-one thing with Runestone, since we've never actually personally talked to each other. It'll be a nice thing for me to just kind of connect with him, just to see where we stand as people. Then tomorrow Oz is going to be streaming something, so if you see the link there and you haven't already followed him, feel free to follow him. Something fun for me, that way I won't care if no one shows up. Oh, that sounds so sad, but I mean, it makes the most sense. That's how I started with things too. But yeah, definitely give Oz a follow if you haven't already. If you haven't followed me, feel free to follow me. I don't know how you would see this podcast if you haven't, but hey. Super sad last Friday. Well, you won't be sad this Friday. Let's put it that way. Sad boy lonely stream. Well, at least this Friday, if we're both lonely, at least we'll have each other. I think that basically covers it. I think that's the schedule. I mean, if Saturday and Sunday doesn't work out the way I expect it to, it'll probably just be more World of Warcraft, because I'm really pushing myself to get to that level 60, or sorry, to level 70, so I can actually play my Alliance character with some of my friends. And the Horde one, I want to get to get to the end game, because they have characters for that one as well that'll do. Want me to link everyone that clip of all of your ass from Maximum Underdrive? Maybe not this time, just because I think if we give it too much exposure, Twitch might become aware of it, and I don't think they want to see my ass. I mean, I don't even really want to see my ass, but I'm stuck with it. But actually, you know what? Screw it. Drop it. Drop the link. Show everybody the full moon. But yeah, I think that covers pretty much everything. You got to get to know me a little bit more. If anything, I think I've just proven that I'm a very upfront content creator about my history and all that. At least you get to see the thought processes that go on in the crazy man's mind. But yeah, no, it was a blast speaking to all of you. It was a great time getting to be able to talk about some old stories and doing all that. That's going to be a great clip of me showing most of my ass, if not all of it. I think it was all of my ass. I had to bend a certain way just so my balls didn't like fall in between my legs. All right, everybody. I will see you all tomorrow for some World of Warcraft. And yeah, no, it was a blast. Love you guys. See you all next time. Bye.